Welcome back to Oscar Coverage Monday here on the channel. Today we are going over Best Director, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Adapted Screenplay. Because I think these categories are interesting. I think directors, we're going to be looking at the 8 nominees from Critics' Choice as our main 8 players to be Best Director. And Original Screenplay, I think, just has an opportunity to maybe give us some surprises this year, as most of our big movie contenders are in the adapted screenplay realm. So something like Challengers might break in here. We'll talk about that. And the adapted screenplay is just a juggernaut category this year, and trying to get down to 5 is going to be pretty hard, but I think you're going to enjoy this video. Again, if you like Oscar coverage, if you like talking about where things are going to get nominated, like and subscribe to the channel here. Friday's review day for movies, for bigger reviews. Do YouTube short reviews all through this week for Christmas. And then we talk Survivor and sports usually Wednesday or on the weekend. So here we're going to talk about the Oscar race. So let's get started. Yes, when it comes to Best Director, that Critics' Choice 8 seems like a solid base to come from. Critics' Choice wanted to get all 5 nominees for the director pool correct, so they're like, let's just put all the people who might get nominated in our nominees. I think here, though, you have 4 clear frontrunners that are going to be nominated and, could have a contention for the award. I even think whoever gets nominated 5th here also has major contention to win. The great thing about directing this year is so many of these potential nominees don't have a clear frontrunner status, in my opinion, for director. There's a lot of just discussion that can be made. There's a lot of momentum that can be gained throughout award season. There's a lot of angles you can really go to and really say, this is why this person should win director. But right now, if I'm going to name a number 1 candidate, my number 1 overall, I'm going to go Brady Corbett for The Brutalist. Now, I have not seen The Brutalist at all yet, but I've basically been told that this is a 3+ hour epic that reminds us of movies classics like The Godfather Part 2 or There Will Be Blood. It's a movie that takes us kind of back and giving us an immigrant story. It's expertly directed by Brady Corbett and giving us great acting performances throughout, mainly led by Adrien Brody. He's going to have 3 potential acting contenders in 2 supporting categories and 1 lead category, and just the epic scale of The Brutalist, for me, tends to make me feel like that is exactly what best directors can win. It's very artistic, it's very just ambitious in terms of a scale, and for how well everybody says it's working, I think that leads Corbett to being the frontrunner for Best Director right now for the Oscars. A close number 2 for me, again, this is me projecting what I think their standings are, maybe not my personal standings, as you'll learn that in the Joshkers coming up on New Year's Day. Hopefully they'll be able to get the Brutalist in before the Joshkers. But we have Jacques Audiard for Emilia Perez. I think the industry loves Emilia Perez quite a lot. And even though it's a more polarizing, maybe more negatively viewed movie from an audience standpoint, a regular individual standpoint, is seemingly getting a lot of nominations, whether it be Critics' Choice, whether it be Golden Globes. It's been shortlisted for a lot of categories, for potential Oscar nominations, for technical type categories. It's very clear Emilia Perez has a lot of industry support, and if the industry likes the ambition and the flamboyance that Emilia Perez brings from Jacques Audiard, somebody who could be picking up 2 to 3 acting nominations in his movie nomination Monday for the Oscars, there's a real chance that Emilia Perez can take home a lot of prizes, including Best Director for Audiard here. And that's kind of why I have him number 2 in my list, is I think until I start seeing the momentum that I feel is starting to happen at Slow Down, I have to respect the idea that the industry may just love Emilia Perez more than your average individual does. Number 3 on this list, I think, is Sean Baker for Anora. Anora right now is kind of inching ahead of The Brutalist as overall Best Picture contender. I think this is a movie that has a very good chance at winning Best Picture, and given that it's not going to have too many nominees other places, I mean, it's going to have most likely supporting actor and best, actress nominees. It'll be in. We'll talk later about screenplay nominations. It'll also have nominations in a couple different other areas, but director is one where I expect to see Sean Baker. And if the Academy is really loving Anora and is giving it all the prizes, I can see Anora picking up Best Actress. I can see Anora picking up, Best Original Screenplay, and I can see Anora picking up Best Director with Sean Baker. There's no clear frontrunner right now when it comes to the Best Director race, and I just think that Sean Baker, just if Anora keeps this frontrunner status and is able to be the one that picks up all the awards, Sean Baker may come along with it. And finally, Edward Berger for Conclave is what I would put as my solid 4 horsemen, my solid 4th person likely to get a nomination for Best Director. Conclave is that quiet shark movie that is getting all the nominations it needs to. It's getting wins in certain places. And Edward Berger, for me, directed Conclave to be a very great political thriller type movie. It felt very fast paced. The characters are all around engaging. Ray Fiennes is going to be his one actor that's going to be getting in for Best Actor. Isabella Rossellini might be getting in for Supporting Actress. Again, directors directing their actors to do well is a big, I think, caveat sometimes to who wins Best Director, not all the time. And Conclave, again, if Conclave he gets this nomination, if Conclave starts overtaking maybe The Brutalist, overtaking Amelia President-Noor, and becomes that Best Picture frontrunner that everybody's rallying around, Edward Berger getting a Best Director win here wouldn't be surprising to me. I thought you can get my review on Conclave here on the channel. It was one of my favorite movies of the year, and a lot of that comes down to Edward Berger's direction throughout. And again, I think these 4, Corbett, Audiard, Baker, and Berger, are 4 locks for Best Director. I will be jaw-dropped shocked if we don't get those 4 nominated out of the 5 pool. Now we are left with 4 people in this Critics' Choice Award group to take that final spot. Right now, who I think is getting the momentum, who I think has a real shot of getting in there, is Coralie Forjat for The Substance. The Substance is just an expertly directed movie. The way the camera works, the way the story is paced, the way the movie is moving throughout, is Forjat's visions, and Coralie just does an amazing job in that. This seems to be, she's picking up actual Best Director wins in certain critics groups. As this movie gets more and more play, it becomes more and more of a contender. She's somebody that if she gets nominated in that 5th spot and The Substance get nominated for Best Picture, there's a chance that she could take this prize just for the overall scale and ambition The Substance is with the message it's giving. It's obviously going to be picking up a Best Actress nom, I believe, with Demi Moore, and Margaret Qualley is an option for Best Supporting Actress, getting a lot more beloved than I think a lot of people are predicting in this awards race. The Substance keeps overperforming, and I think we're all wondering, there's no way a body horror film is going to get this much attention from the Academy come the award season, but as long as The Substance keeps getting the nominations and getting its potential wins, I think she's going to be coming along with the movie if it gets in for Best Picture. Right behind her right now, I probably have Denis Villeneuve in that 6th spot. Dune Part 2 is a very big epic type movie. It came out earlier this spring, and I think in a way that definitely hurts people's remembrance. I mean, a lot of people are still campaigning for Denis to get in the spot. He was missed for Dune Part 1. I think if there's a big rally because he missed that Golden Globes to make sure he gets nominated this time, I think he can get in. But the truth of the matter is that Denis has no shot at winning Best Director this year. I don't see Dune Part 2 having anywhere near as good as awards momentum to be Best Picture places. And if anything, Denis getting in at 5 here is just him getting the recognition spot. I don't think he's as much as a potential winner as a Forjat is. Right behind Denis, I would have Ramel Ross for Nickel Boys. Another movie I haven't seen yet, but what I've heard is it's a very creative, a very well put together movie that will have a lot of solo support to get the nomination, that Ramel Ross is able to be really creative and in using the her ingenuity to make the movie work the way it does. It doesn't have much acting nominations behind it, much like Villeneuve with Dune, but if there's a lot of passion behind this, she could be getting her way into that top 5 just because there's going to be a big base wanting to see it. And then finally, our last spot here for Best Director, John M. Chu for Wicked. Wicked is that movie right now that seems like it's starting to come down in awards hype. It had its big moment at the end of November during Thanksgiving, beginning of December. Ariana Grande seems like a lock to not just get in Best Supporting Actress, but maybe be a winner for it. Cynthia Erivo seems like a lock potentially to get in for Best Actress. But I feel like as the movie is going on, and we're getting new movies in like The Brutalist and like Anora on digital, like the substance gaining momentum, I feel the gravity on Wicked still going to be a big contender for a lot of Oscar awards, but its Best Picture chances I feel getting lower and lower, and those lower chance that Wicked has to have the big support for Best Picture overall, the less chance John M. Chu is going to be getting in for Best Director here and has a chance to win. Now, what I will say is if Wicked somehow shoots back up in terms of perception of power and it gets to be put back into that top frontrunner status that it could be, then John M. Chu goes from being my very bottom of these 8 directors up towards that top 5. He can sneak in for that 5th spot and be a contender to win, because if Wicked's doing strong, if Wicked's doing well, if Wicked is being seen as the number 1 movie that could win Best Picture, Chu's stocks will likely rise with that. But if Wicked's coming back down, if it's being put kind of like Dune Part 2 in that 5, 6, 7 slot for Best Picture, then I see more artistic type directors like Corley Forget getting in for that 5th spot, or Ramel Ross. But Wicked is just in a weird place right now. Is the momentum going to come back down? Is it going to end up going back up higher? We'll have to see once we start moving towards other award nominees and other things before we get to Oscar nomination day. So next up is going to be original screenplay. This is the one that I think is going to be a big battler in terms of who's going to win this category, but I think there's a lot of different other movies that can get nominated here that may be struggling to get in the Best Picture. There's only really 3 movies in this category that are Best Picture major contenders that are likely going to get nominated for Best Picture. So that leaves the door open for a couple spots for movies that might not be in that Best Picture nomination pool, but could get into screenplay overall. But the top movie right now for me for screenplay is going to be Anora. Anora's screenplay and its tone going back and forth between kind of the more serious, more, grounded tones in the first part of the movie leads into a hysterical, just wild comedy style second part act of the movie that was still one of my favorites of the year, leading into, I think, a very grounded, a very real, a very deep third act of the movie that really elevates that screenplay off everywhere else. I think it just has a really great shot at winning this category. It's for sure going to be nominated. It's by Sean Baker, that director, and it's one of the things that is going to be checking off that list, I think, for Anora come Oscar Sunday later on. The number 2 spot, though, I haven't seen this movie yet. I'm going to go with The Brutalist. Again, this one by Brady Corbett and Mona Fastvoid is a 3+ hour movie taking us back to 1947 that seemingly keeps has kept most people engaged and have very good reviews. I heard the characters throughout seem very connective per se. I know the villain of this movie is just an extraordinary watch, so I can't wait to see it. I know it's an immigrant type story, which can do very well with the international community potentially of the Academy Award season. And again, if The Brutalist becomes the Best Picture frontrunner, if it becomes kind of the de facto winner for Best Picture, it has a solid chance of picking up this Best Screenplay win. I definitely think it's going to get nominated, as well as the Substance. The Substance screenplay, to me, might not be as strong for me personally, but when I look at the overall, landscape of the original screenplay, the substance, done by the director Kweli Forjit, is just doing very well. And this is one of the categories it won for at the Cannes Film Festival. All the way earlier this year. So I fully expect the substance to not only just get in here, but if the Academy is really liking the substance, they like the messaging the substance has, I wouldn't be surprised if it picks up an original screenplay win here, even if it isn't contending for a Best Picture win later in the night. I actually think I'll put number 4 here, A Real Pain, written and directed by Jesse Eisenberg. This is a movie that seems like it's struggling to get into the Best Picture top 10, but its screenplay just does very, very well. It's simple, but it hits a point. You understand the two cousin characters played by Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin. The dialogue is witty. Everybody gets kind of a moment. It gives you emotional feels. These characters just feel like everyday life real characters. It doesn't go above and beyond sometimes, as what maybe as what you get in some of the Best Picture type nominees. But when it comes to screenplay, it's just a solid screenplay, a solid, probably good read, and a solid watch. I think this movie has a chance to upset here if they're looking to give it a win anywhere. Obviously, Kieran Culkin's likely getting in for Best Supporting Actor, but it could pick up a surprise win here. It's my number 4. And number 5 is kind of up in the air. September 5 could potentially get in original story. If that makes a play at Best Picture, maybe it could get picked up here for, Best Original Screenplay. A movie like The Seed of the Sacred Fig, international support, it can find its way here. Same thing with Hard Truths. That's a movie that can sneak into this 5th spot. And then finally, I think Challengers can sneak into this 5th spot. This Challenger seemingly could be getting in for scored an original song. So with it getting that type of support, I think it's easier to give it an original screenplay support. I don't think it's going to get in anywhere else, but it can get that 5th nomination here in the original screenplay. Tell me what you think are the original screenplays going to be nominated in the comments below. But we're going to move on here to adapted screenplay. So adapted screenplay is going to be the interesting one because I think it has a clear frontrunner winner, and that's Conclave. Both the Brutalist and Anora are the major other big Best Picture contenders. They're going to be in the original screenplay area. Wicked but will likely get nominated here, but Conclave is my favorite to win this category. Its screenplay is its actual ingenuity of the actual movie. Everybody feels like a great character. The story has twists and turns that you don't always see coming. And it really allows you as an audience member to engage and like this film. I think, again, not having any big major contenders in here is going to allow Conclave to run away with this adapted screenplay win. But if there was going to be a contender, it could be Wicked. I don't think Wicked's screenplay is that great, especially compared to Conclave. But again, Wicked, we're talking about having potential momentum of being a frontrunner with Anora. Now, I think momentum-wise, it has shifted, but even below Conclave and The Brutalist, it's sitting in a 5 spot right now, maybe a 4 spot. But if we find out no Wicked support is actually still up here, then Wicked could find its way in for Best Adapted Screenplay if the Academy loves this movie. The other movie that could play an upset, if the momentum comes out of nowhere and starts being built, is Sing Sing. Sing Sing telling the story of a correctional facility who and members in there, rehabilitating with performing arts and their character journeys and moments is a really strong screenplay. And most years, I would say, Sing Sing would be the easy contender to Conclave, but A24 has seemingly dropped the ball with Sing Sing's campaign and release, and it seems to have fallen to the point where it's kind of up in the air if it's going to get into Best Picture. Now, if it does get into Best Picture, and it's in the Best Adapted Screenplay here, and people start really watching the movie and it can start building its momentum back up kind of from the ground floor it's at, then Sing Sing could find its way into the Best Adapted Screenplay win. The problem right now for me is Sing Sing is so bottom of the barrel in terms of Best Picture nominees, momentum, that it's going to need a big momentum boost to try to get it going towards the best adapted screenplay win. If it gets in for best picture, if it gets, in for, best actor, best supporting actor, and best adapted screenplay, then I could really see a chance where Sing Sing, with its re-release in January, build up more and more momentum, maybe win over these Academy voters, and make a play against Conclave in this category. Nickel Boys is another movie I think is going to have a lot of support here. That's not going to, I don't think that'll have a chance to win, but I put that in my fringe 4th spot right now. And then the biggest one is Emilia Perez, question mark wise. A lot of people don't like the screenplay on the outside, but it's clear that people do enjoy that screenplay in the industry. And Emilia Perez is one that, if the industry, likes it enough, it could sneak up and beat out a Conclave, but I just think Emilia Perez's momentum is really going down pretty hard here. It might pick up this nomination, but I don't know by the time the Oscars come if it'll be in a chance to win this type of award. Other people to look out for, obviously, you got like Dune Part 2 could pick up a nomination here. The Room Next Door, another foreign film that could pick up a best adapted screenplay here. I haven't seen that movie, but I've heard it's a very good screenplay. The Wild Robot could surprise with animation. I love the Wild Robot screenplay. And maybe that's about it. Again, this category has a lot more Best Picture contenders in here, and I would expect to see those Best Picture contenders get nominated, but there's still room for some international flair or some surprise flair, as some of these Best Picture screenplays might not be as fleshed out, as amazing as other ones overall. But that's going to be it here for this Oscar recap version for the Best Director and Best Screenplays. Tell me down below what your favorite screenplays were of the year, and who do you think should win Best Director. Next week, come back on Monday, where we'll be talking about all the different acting categories, Best Actor, Actress, and Supporting categories, as we move towards Nomination Monday coming up in January. And I just look forward to going through all these Oscar categories as we get into Oscar season. We'll be watching the Critics' Choice Awards live. We'll be watching the Golden Globes wide. We'll be watching potentially even the Oscar nominations live here on the channel. We're definitely going to have at least a video of it. But tell me, again, in the comments down below, what do you think of my analysis? Now, again, not personal choice, where I think things will stand. And I will see you in the comments later down the line. Be looking out Friday for a very big review-heavy episode, the Christmas Review Spectacular, I am calling it. And you may get other YouTube short reviews there, so like and subscribe for that. But until I see you later, I wish everybody here a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays, and I'll see you wherever I find you on the channel next.